Hi, Fanny and Tom.
Hi, Tulip.
Hi.
I'm very pleased to be here today at the Royal Free Recreation Centre, one of our local vaccination centres, and have the opportunity to speak to both of you. For our audience, Tom is a GP and Fanny is a nurse, and they're both from a local GP practice and they're helping with our vaccination programme. We wanted to speak to clinicians working on the vaccine programme in Camden, particularly following some feedback that there's a low uptake of the vaccine amongst BAME communities, particularly the Black, African and Caribbean communities. Why do you think Black, African and Caribbean communities are not responding as quickly to the invitation to be vaccinated as other communities in Camden?
I think some members in these communities have difficulty in navigating the healthcare system. The pre-existing health inequalities among different ethnic groups also can add to these difficulties. People have lost trust in institutions, people have lost trust in different organizations due to different past and negative experiences. Some people do get messages from social media about COVID vaccinations, and they have this raised concern, this raised fears. Probably some of them don't know where to get the correct information. They're seeing the recent study that the BAME group have been disproportionately affected with COVID, and then probably this can add up to this. The most important message that we need to get out the correct information to this community so they can take up this vaccination. They all can be protected from this evil and lethal virus.
Is it okay if I ask you some of the most common questions I've had about the vaccine?
Of course, yeah.
Are the two vaccines that are being rolled out, Pfizer and AstraZeneca, equally good?
I think both vaccines are excellent, and the reported differences that were very much focused on by the press are actually probably not statistically that significant. What we do know is that both the vaccines are well above the threshold of the effectiveness that we would normally want to see in a vaccine such as the flu vaccine. And all we need to really understand is that they're both amazing and do offer very, very good protection.
Is the vaccine as safe as other vaccines, considering how quickly it was developed and approved?
That's a very common question that we're asked in the vaccine centres. I can definitely tell you that the trials for the 3 vaccines that have now been approved in the UK have gone through the same incredibly rigorous process that we use for all vaccines. The overall number of people involved in the trial and the overall number of trial hours is actually greater than other vaccines that have been approved in the past. So although it's been done faster, nothing has been skimped on, and this has been shown to be very, very safe.
Does the vaccine include any part from animal origin?
The vaccine does not contain any animal origin. The full ingredients of the vaccination can be found on the MHRA website. And I'd like to expand this to the Muslim and Jewish community that the vaccine does not contain any gelatin or pork in it, so it's safe to have.
Could I ask you, Fanny, how does the vaccine work in your body? It works differently to other vaccines, doesn't it?
How it works, it makes a protein from the virus, which is important for creating protection. It then stimulates the immune system to produce or make antibodies or cells to fight for the infection. Both vaccines work in a similar way, actually.
Members of my family have sickle cell anemia, and people are asking, is the vaccine safe to take if you have sickle cell anemia?
Yes, it is safe for people with sickle cell anemia, and if anything, it's probably more important to have it than anything else. So definitely do have it if you have sickle cell anemia, and there is a lot of information available from the Sickle Cell Society.
So I'd like to ask you about the impact of the vaccine, because there seems to be quite a lot of concern around that. Could taking the vaccine affect fertility in any way?
No, so the Royal College of Midwives and the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists have issued a joint statement saying the vaccine does not affect fertility in any way.
I'm sure both of you have heard this before, but can the vaccine make you ill?
Tulip, as you know, all vaccines can cause some symptoms, but compared to the symptoms of COVID or long COVID, they are very, very minimal and much safer. So yes, you can get a couple of days of a mild fever, etc., but in general, they're very mild.
Is there any evidence about this concern of blood clotting caused by the AstraZeneca vaccine?
I can understand why people are asking that question and are concerned, and I can say that Europe and in the UK have now looked at this really thoroughly, and there is no evidence to support any increase in the risk of clotting, but there is very strong evidence to support the protection against COVID, which we know for certain causes a very high risk of clotting.
Please could you tell us whether the vaccine is safe for the BAME communities to take?
I'm really glad you asked me that question, Tulip. Yes, I can confirm that. I can also confirm that the risk of COVID itself, the risk of dying from COVID, the risk of side effects is greater in the BAME community. So if anything, the amount of protection from harm offered by the vaccine is greater for the BAME community than it is for anyone else. So simple message, it's very important, get yourself vaccinated.
There are a few other concerns and worries that I wanted to raise. Is it true that the evidence shows that Black people are more likely to catch and die from COVID?
Yes, that is true. The BAME communities are more likely to catch the virus and develop serious infection from COVID. What is more important is for all BAME community to take up the vaccination and to be protected against COVID infection.
Is everyone getting the same vaccine regardless of ethnicity?
Yes, so Tulip, the process is the same for everyone, and we do not allocate specific vaccine to specific ethnic group.
So Tom, some people say that coronavirus is completely made up. What would you say to that?
I would say that it's something that's really cruel to hear, because over 120,000 people have died from COVID in the UK alone, and that is despite having gone into lockdown. It's not a hoax, it's very real, and the message we need to make sure everyone understands is the importance of getting vaccinated. Our way out of this is to get the vaccine.
Is there any evidence at all that people can be microchipped through the vaccine?
Tulip, I'm sure you probably don't really need to ask me that question. The answer is no. There are no microchips in any of the vaccines.
There seems to be a lot of concern about vaccination centres themselves, and I wanted to ask a bit about that. Can people get coronavirus from the people giving the vaccine?
Firstly, I really want to stress that I am so proud of the vaccine centre that I have helped to set up, and for my colleagues across the country having mirrored this process hundreds of times. We have been through a very rigorous process, and the people giving you the vaccine wear a mask, they wash their hands or use alcohol gel in between times, and we've done everything possible to prevent them spreading the virus. The risk of you not having the vaccine is much greater than the risk of coming to our centre and having it.
Can you get help to book a vaccine appointment, and how do you do that?
If you're one of the eligible groups, you will get a text, a phone call, email or letter explaining you or how to book for your COVID vaccination. If you think you're eligible and you have not got any of this, please call 119. They'll take you through on how to book for your vaccination. The important thing to know, when you're booking online, you will not be asked to pay for your vaccination. You will not be asked to enter any financial details. It won't be any of that.
Is it possible to choose which vaccination centre you want to go to?
Yes, you do get a choice. The national booking system gives you a few places where you can go, but does not include the GP ones. And the GP ones will send you a separate message to invite you there. And I'm proud to say GPs have done almost 80% of the vaccine so far.
Thank you both so much for your time today. We've covered an enormous amount of ground, and I think people will understand why it's so important to get the vaccine. And Fanny, if people have further questions or concerns or fears about the vaccine, where should they go to find out the answers?
So Tulip, I completely understand that people have fears and concern about the vaccination because there are so many information out there. What I will advise is for them to seek the reliable information from NHS website or the BOLOP website so they can get more information about the vaccination and can make informed choices.
Uptake in the BAME groups has got so much better than it was even 2 months ago, and I would urge anyone who's interested in coming to help make it even better by becoming a volunteer with the COVID-19 champions. Come and join us, we'll get it right.
Thank you both, Tom and Fanny, so much for your time today.
Bye now.
Thank you, Tulip.